It's been several weeks. The Bitcoin ETFs are live. Seemingly, Wall Street is cheering. Seemingly, Bitcoiners are cheering. Let's go take a look at what's actually going on right now. Welcome back, everyone. That's right. I figured today we're going to talk about the Bitcoin ETFs and what's going on because, as you know, right? As you know, that there were issues previously with certain players in the Bitcoin space, and one of them being Genesis Trading. There were lawsuits that were going on for at least a year that just, for whatever reason, just vanished into people's rearview mirrors as the beautiful Bitcoin ETF news just papers over everything. Anyways, let's take a look at this. Let's dive into it. A couple of things. First off, court rules Genesis can sell over 1.3 billion worth of GBTC shares. Don't get alarmed. Don't get afraid. It doesn't mean that there's more Bitcoin being dumped onto the market. Let's take a look at this story. A bankruptcy court has ruled that Genesis Global Holdco LLC can sell about 35 million shares in Grayscale's GBTC fund, which is currently worth more than $1.3 billion. Grayscale's flagship GBTC fund, which converted to a spot Bitcoin ETF, began trading. The ETF has shed more than $6 billion since then, and that is specific to Grayscale's GBTC fund. Now, one of the things that I've said in previous videos about Grayscale and their GBTC fund is that essentially, in my eyes, okay, what has happened with DCG Group and Grayscale is this changing of the guard. It was, to the market, it's going to seem like, oh yeah, of course, that they're moving their Bitcoin, they're selling their Bitcoin to these authorized participants, and this is just totally normal. In my eyes, I believe that this was all just a giant, it's like a giant ploy, right? You have these kind of little players that come into the space, they kind of test the waters, right? They kind of figure out what the angles are, how you can get hurt, and then after that, essentially once the groundwork is laid out, the legacy players come to the table and they take their rightful place as the kind of the owners, right? Or the master architects of the space, so to speak. Anyways, it's just my theory. It's just something that, in my eyes, when I'm looking at these types of situations, that's what I see. So for me, it's just like, yep, GBTC, tip the hat. Barry paid his dues, and here he goes. He is he's being let out gracefully, and essentially all of that wealth is being funneled over to the bigger players in legacy finance. Yeah, that's right. Phil's tinfoil hat take. Anyways, let's continue. So Genesis, which is a subsidiary of Digital Currency Group, also plans to sell more than 11 million shares in two Grayscale Ethereum trusts worth more than $200 million, the report said. So be prepared for some very rosy, I'm sure some rosy Ethereum news so they can dump their bags. Anyways, that's funny. That's going to be funny stuff. Okay, so Genesis also agreed earlier this month to pay a $21 million fine to the Securities and Exchange Commission to settle the agency's lawsuit against the company for operating the Gemini Earn program. And I may just mention that on the Gemini platform, the Earn program is still available there. So I don't really know what's going on with that, but that is, anyways. These Earn programs, I know that people think that because the interest that they're paying you is low, or it seems low, that it seems plausible, but I don't know. Some people argue that they're similar to dividends, but again, I don't see that, because companies earn profits, right? They sell a product or service, they make a profit. And then if the company determines that it doesn't have a better use for the profits itself, then usually, in some cases, the businesses will pay out those profits as a dividend. So it's easy to explain where that money comes from. But with with crypto and these earn programs, I just don't think it's coming from anywhere legitimate. Like, I don't see where it's coming from. There is no product. There is no service. It's just fleecing liquidity. Anyways. Okay. So doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Back to what's going on with these ETFs. And this is where we stand right now. BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF outshines with $224 million inflow amid sector-wide growth. The ETF notched an impressive single-day net inflow. Single day, guys, $224.3 million on Valentine's Day, positioning it at the forefront of the Bitcoin spot ETF market. Yeah, and they're talking about BlackRock's IBIT. I mean, it's no surprise that BlackRock's is the biggest. This notable influx is part of a broader trend that has seen the net inflow for Bitcoin spot ETFs reach 339.81 million on the same day. So for the people like Peter Schiff and all of these no coiners that are pretending that there's no market demand for the Bitcoin ETFs, yeah, there's market demand for the Bitcoin ETFs. Sorry, Peter. Anyways, as of February 14th, the cumulative total net inflow for these ETFs stands at an impressive $4.23 billion, with total net assets valued at $36.77 billion. What does all of that mean in terms of Bitcoin? Because as we know, there's about 900 new Bitcoin that are mined and essentially that become available on the market, so to speak, every day. But these ETF providers, they are buying way more than that 900. So anyways, let's take a look at this account here on Twitter. This is the Rational Root. I always find that this account has some good research on Bitcoin. Anyways, enormous ETF inflows, net plus 12K BTC were added yesterday, and this was on Valentine's Day. BlackRock alone saw a 10K BTC inflow and now surpassed 100K BTC in holdings. That's right, guys. The BlackRock ETF has more than 100,000 Bitcoin that they're holding already. Biggest outflows were from Grayscale, right? This is my changing of the guard story. Oh, Phil, you're crazy and you don't know enough. Yeah, I know. I'm sure I don't know enough. But I do think it's really funny that this is something that's pretty much in plain sight that people are just ignoring and pretending that it's something else. Anyways, changing of the guard, guys. That's all it is, changing of the guard. And Invesco, 500 BTC, 3 consecutive days over 10K net inflows. How sustainable? How long do we think that is sustainable, right? When do we start to see the massive supply shock? So clearly, those numbers, right, are much bigger. I'm talking about the amount of Bitcoin that these ETFs are purchasing. Now, something that's really interesting that we've noticed, or at least a few of us have noticed this week, is that Bitcoin seems to move right in the after hours. It almost seems as though it's moving based on when these settlements are taking place. So it would seem that the Bitcoin that's being purchased for these ETFs is being purchased after we'll say Wall Street market hours, right? So after 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this is kind of interesting. I think we're going to see a supply shock very, very soon. Now, obviously, I don't, I'm not making price predictions or anything like that, because Bitcoin often does the complete opposite of what I think anyways. So yeah, definitely not in the price prediction game, but I can say this. The people telling you that there's no demand for the Bitcoin ETFs, there is. Okay, if you think for a second that people who are looking to beat inflation, okay, if you think for a second that they are not seeking alpha, okay, in Bitcoin, then you are wrong. Anyways, I figured I would just do a hopium clip today. I think it's nice. It can't always be, bad news, or making fun of shitcoins, even though that is really fun for me, the making fun of shitcoins. Yeah, we got to do the ETF hopium. Anyways, guys, yeah, let me know what you think. Put it in the comments, and I am going to catch you next week.